Hello, Excalibur here of Excalibur Zone Gaming, and we are setting up with another Magic the Gathering Commander deck. This time it's mono red with Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker. As you can see right here, she's a 3 red, 2 anything, and legendary Goblin Shaman. Now, she is really scary. She combos with a lot of things. I went with cards that have enter the battlefield triggers, and that's the main focus of the game. The mana curve is kind of wibbly wobbly. It's not your standard, which this is a pretty average one with a high 3 and 2, with 4 and 1 being the close ones. Not very many this high. I've got quite a few up in this area, and I blame that on some of the creatures. So we have about a third in creatures, a little bit more in land and non-creature. Creatures we have, most of them are dragons. We have 8 dragons in the deck, and then the rest are goblins and elementals and humans and stuff like that. This guy here, the golem, costs a lot, and it's, like I said, mono red. Kiki Jiki is got a color identity of red, so that's how it works. We're going to go ahead and skip all this stuff here and go straight to the graphics so you can see what's going on. Well, Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker, as I've noted before, has an ability to put a token that's a copy of a non-legendary creature you control onto the battlefield, and that token has haste. You sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So as long as you can tap, you can put a token out. Now there are some things that can go pretty infinite here, like Kiki Jiki is made to go with Thornbite Staff, and that's exactly how it works, because whenever your token dies, Kiki Jiki will untap. That's the way it works. Illusionist Bracers allows you to kick off Kiki Jiki's abilities multiple times. Let's see here, what are the other ones that work with her? Skull Clamp, and let's see here. Well, Skull Clamp allows you to kill any 1/1 tokens you create to draw cards. Brings of Bright Hearth allow you to untap Kiki. 1000-year Elixir allows you to untap Kiki. Phyrexian Vault allows you to sacrifice creatures for mana. Ashnod's Altar is a sacrifice outlet to sacrifice your tokens to untap Kiki when she's connected with a Thornbite Staff. Barrage of Expendables allows you to sacrifice a creature for a red to do damage to target creature player. Sword of the Parents allows you to untap Kiki. And this is the main thing. Grab for the Reins. Nope. I'm going through. The Conjurer's Closet allows you to exile Kiki and then bring her back untapped at the end of the turn. Zealous Conscripts goes infinite with Kiki. Let's see here. Urbraz. Nope. I know you're going to wonder what that is. You'll find out. Okay, I'll go ahead and do it. Heartless Hidetsugu. Tap to do half damage to each player, rounded down. So if you're at 40 life, you go down to 20 life. So he speeds up the game, and I have that with Gratuitous Violence and Furnace of Rath, just to ensure that we can one-shot kill almost everybody on the table. Now the cool thing is, if you're at an odd life, you will survive with 1 life, while everybody else has even life dies, and that's a bit why we have the Barrage of Expendables in there. Let's see here. Triskelion goes infinite with Kiki as long as you have Thornbite Staff on her. Warstorm Surge goes with Kiki every time you create a token, you do damage to people. Let's see here. And a lot of these are just set up to Enter the battlefield and do damage. The Tyrant, no, Stalking Vengeance is the opposite of Warstorm Surge. Whenever a creature I control dies, it deals damage equal to its power. So you have a chance to pump up your creatures. Like with the Moonveil Dragon, give all your creatures +1/+0 until end of turn, and Stalking Vengeance will do more damage. Vicious Shadows. Whenever a creature is put into play, you may have Vicious Shadows deal damage to target player equal to the number of cards in that player's hand. So that goes with Kiki Jiki as well, and the Sacrifice Outlets. We'll get to the other creatures here soon. The Blightsteel Colossus, yep, he's got an 11/11. When you put him into play, Warstorm Surge, and then you token Warstorm Surge. There you go. You eliminate your opponents with one activation of Kiki. And if you can set it up so that you create multiple copies of him, you can take everybody out with poison immediately, because that's what Warstorm Surge does. But this is the cool thing. If you've got Furnace of Rath or Gratuitous Violence in play, Blightsteel Colossus hits play, bam, everybody, anybody who's hit with Warstorm Surge will die. And whenever the token goes away, they'll die. So you have multiple ways to take people out with Infect, and that's another reason he's also in there. So when he's put in the graveyard, he is shuffled into the library. So it stops infinite mill decks because he's constantly put into the library. Now, some of the other things here, I saw it, I was going to mention it. And Quicksilver Amulet is a way to get Blightsteel Colossus out for 4 instead of 12. And that's always an awesome thing. And Bogardan Hellkite. Now, we'll go ahead. We've got the lands. We'll go through lands real quick. Get the Bogardan Hellkite and the lands out of the way so that we can actually see what's going on. So, we have lands. I know it's mono red. I just get all this stuff out of the way. There are, let's see here, how many mountains? Mountain. There are 31 mountains in the deck. So we can just get that out of the way now. There's 31 of these guys in the deck. What the heck is causing it to do that? Let's see if doing this and this. Nope, it doesn't fix it. So we'll go up here and do that. So mountain, 31 of those. We've got Nykthos. It's a mono red. So Nykthos is perfect. This allows you to do damage to each of your opponents and still add 1 mana. You don't have to discard cards. Put counters on Kiki Jiki. And then Kher Keep, of course, is set up so that you can put goblin tokens onto the battlefield. Balduvian Trading Post is set up for 1 in red. So you have to sacrifice a mountain, but when you do, you pretty much get a double land, and it deals 1 damage to target attacking creature. So you can get rid of little tiny creatures that have first strike and stuff like that. The Temple of the False God is there for the extra mana ramp, because red doesn't have a lot of mana ramp. Now, yes, you do see a couple of things, and I'm going to move some of these cards out of the way so that we can actually take a look at what they do. Here we go. So we've got Gauntlet of Power. That is definitely ramp. You choose red. Creatures of the chosen color get 1/1. So that works for everybody. And whenever a mountain is tapped for mana of red, its controller adds 1. So as long as a basic land can produce red, Gauntlet of Power will increase that. We've got Caged Sun, which is the big brother to that. That only works for you. So it's a double anthem, and you get 2 more mana out of that. We also throw in the Druidic Satchel because that allows you to get creatures out into play, healing, and also lands out into play. So that's a good way to do that. Darksteel Ingot is an indestructible, of course. Produces 1 of any color. Soul Ring is just crazy good. And I think that is the majority of the mana producing. So we will go through and grab the other things here. Now, part of this mana stuff here, we have Price of Glory to stop all those people who like to do counter spells. because you can kill people's lands. Let me get that back up there. There we go. Price of Glory. Whenever player taps land for mana during another player's turn, destroy the land. So land is going to be destroyed. And I need to put a Crucible of Worlds in here so that I can tap during an opponent's turn, then play from my graveyard. That's the way to work it. Also, to go in with the bit of ramp, the hand ramp, we have Sensei's Divining Top. And that is it for all the ramp stuff. Now, in terms of burn, we have a few options here. Most of it comes from putting creatures out into play. But we have Magma Quake, which takes care of non-flying creatures to kill off all those goblins. Reverberate allows us to make copies of tutors and stuff like that. Volcanic Geyser lets us kill off big things if we have it. Disintegrate is awesome because it allows us to remove creatures from the board, and it's exiled. So Red Sun Zenith is also the same thing, but it gets shuffled back in the deck, so it's reusable. And Street Spasm is pretty good because this is just like Magma Quake, but it has an overload. So you can do one big creature, or you can do a bunch of smaller creatures. So there's the destruction. Volcanic Geyser is a destruction. And then Disintegrate and Red Sun Zenith are exiling damage spells. And then we have Reverberate for copying. We have another one, which is Wild Ricochet, which is set for copying. So we can make copies of spells as we need to. The other awesomeness is, where is it? Grab the Reins. Grab the Reins allows us to gain control of target creature, and it gains haste. Then it gains haste, or sacrifice a creature, then Grab the Reins deals damage equal to the creature's power to target creature or player. So there are different ways to damage, and then you can entwine it and do two. So you take control of somebody's creature and then sack it. So if somebody has a great big critter, like some commander that's gotten way out of control, you take control of it and then you kill it to kill off his owner, and then everything is happy-go-lucky. We have Homing Lightning, which takes care of all those pesky goblins. Deals 4 damage to target creature, and each other creature with the same name as that creature. So token decks tend to fall to Homing Lightning. War's Toll goes with Price of Glory. Whenever an opponent taps a land for mana, tap all lands that player controls. And if creature opponent controls attacks, all creatures that opponent controls attack, if able. So with Price of Glory and War's Toll, if they try to do a counter spell, then they tap all their land and destroy it. It's a great way to make sure that people just don't want to attack you. We'll move these guys over here. They're utility, but we're going on with more of the spells. We have Splinter Twin. Oh, sorry, I've got cough drops, and this one just was in the chewing stage of cough drops. What is going on there? There we go. Just getting some room set up so we can talk about these other things. Now, Splinter Twin is in there so I can make copies of the legendary creatures, get their enter the battlefield effects when we have cards like, where is it? Warstorm Surge in play. With the Warstorm Surge in play, I can actually speak, really. You can bring in these big legendaries and cause them to die. So, like Rusei, the Falling Star, falls with Splinter Twin very, very, very well. And we'll get to that in a moment. We're going to go through these artifacts now. The Quietus Spike, that is just, creature has Death Touch, awesomeness, but whenever creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half his or her life rounded up. That is the big thing. So, with Furnace of Rath and Gratuitous Violence, this thing kills whenever it hits. Mimic Vat allows me to make copies of Kiki Jiki. So if somebody kills Kiki, I can put her in the graveyard and then instead exile it with Mimic Vat. So I've got a copy of Kiki with Mimic Vat, and I can make Kiki at any time I need to. The Luxodon Warhammer, well, that goes on Heartless. and I get crap tons of life. So just think about it. I hit for half that player's life total, rounded down. If everybody's at 40, I gain 80 and lose 20 and net of 60 with the Loxodon Warhammer and Heartless. It's really, really nasty. And the rest of these, except for Koth, are creatures. Koth is there. He's got two things going for him. One, he can turn mountains into creatures. Two, he ramps. And three, you can get an emblem. I've gotten this a couple of times. And then all my mountains are starting to tap for 1 damage each. So it's a really good way to use your land to take people out. Oh, and there's Mass Mutiny. That's really fun. At a multiplayer game, you take control of the best creatures on the board. And we'll get Mass Mutiny back up there. And have them all attack. And you can pretty much take people out with commanders. It's really, really fun. I think the rest are indeed creatures, and they are. So let's start with the dragons first off. First, we have the Daddy of Dragons, which is... Where is it? The Scourge. I just thought I saw him. The Scourge of Vulcus. Now, he's not the Daddy of Dragons, but whenever him or another dragon enters the battlefield, you do damage equal to the number of dragons. So you have him, you've got Stormbreath Dragon, who's immune to white and has haste, and has Monstrosity, which does more damage. The Bogardan Hellkite, which does 5 damage whenever he enters. Plus, if you've got Warstorm Surge out, he does another 5, and then with Furnace of Rath and Gratuitous Violence, that's comes into play, does 5, then 10, then 15, then 20, 25, and 30, and it's all doubled up. So there's lots of damage right there with those if you can get them all out to play. Well, in addition to those dragons, we have the Moon Veil Dragon, which we showed. It's Warstorm Surge. It's somewhere around here. Anyway, the Moon Veil Dragon adds +1 to all your critters. And I think we'll find it later. It's okay. We have Furyborn Hellkite, which has Bloodthirst 6. So if anybody who's dealt damage, like the Goblin Sharpshooter, he comes into play, becomes a 12/12, and then that's a lot of damage coming in. Balefire Dragon is also another one that comes in, and whenever it deals damage to a player, it deals that much damage to each creature that player controls. So there's lots and lots of damage going on here. We also have Steel Hellkite, which is the Artifact Dragon. Now this is cool because not only can you pump him up, but you can destroy non-land permanents, so it's a board wipe for your opponent. And finally, we have Ryusei, the Falling Star. Now Ryusei, when he dies, it deals 5 damage to each creature without flying. So with all this other stuff out there, you can get rid of a lot of stuff pretty quickly. It might be that I took, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I've got it. I've got it here somewhere. Let me just double check the cards. Yeah, the Moonveil Dragon is there. It's just buried somewhere around here. I don't know where it went because I'm blind. You know how that is. Anyway, let's get over here and look at the bigger guys. We've got Urabrask, which gives creatures haste, and opponent's creatures come into play tapped. He is really nice. He was the original commander for this deck, but then when I saw Kiki Jiki, I won Kiki Jiki in my first tournament that I played for Magic, and that was awesome. It was the first one I played, and the first one I won, and the only one I've ever won since then. Kamahl Pit Fighter has haste. He's also a shaman. No, he's a barbarian, sorry. He's Heartless is a shaman. So this guy has haste, and he does 3 damage. So he's a lightning bolt for 6 and a 6/1. So he's pretty good. Inferno Titan comes into play, and whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, 3 damage divided as I choose 1, 2, or 3 target creatures of players. Then Molten Primordial comes into play. You can see there's a lot of stuff. He has haste, but when he enters the battlefield, It's another mass mutiny effect, so I take control of creatures and attack with them. So you put down the Molten Primordial, and then you use Kiki Jiki to make a copy of the Molten Primordial, and you can steal creatures forever. Because as long as you have the original Molten Primordial, every time the copy dies, Kiki Jiki untaps with a Thornbite Staff, and you can do it over and over and over again. Malignus is one of those ones that comes in and has half power and toughness equal to the number life total, highest life total. So if somebody has 40, he's a 20-20. If they've got 120, then he's a 60-60, so on and so forth. He is a beast. And damage that would be dealt by Malignus can't be prevented. So when he comes into play, and you've got Furnace of Rath, and you've got Warstorm Surge in play, then this guy will completely smear people, because it can't be countered, so fog doesn't work and stuff like that. The Fanatic of Mogis comes into play. It's devotion damage. So if I've got a bunch of dragons and stuff and all that in play, you do that much damage. That's pretty much all he does. The Felhide Spiritbinder, now he makes a copy of anything for 2 whenever he untaps. So when you have things like, oh, I don't have anything that lets you tap a creature other than Thornbite Staff. Let's see here. Let's move that up here. Nope, nope. Sword of the Parents. You may tap or untap equipped creatures. So you get a bunch of mana together, and then you use a Sword of the Parents with Felhide Spiritbinder, and you have to have mana, but you can make copies of commanders and stuff like that on the board. The Sting Scourger, my friend Chris suggested I put that in there. He is a bounce. So when he enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. And with Kiki Jiki, it becomes a lot of bounce. Goblin Sharpshooter can go infinite with Kiki, as long as Thornbite Staff is in play, because you make a copy of the Goblin Sharpshooter, then you have it ping itself. Kiki Jiki untaps, makes or target creature player. So what you do is Goblin Sharpshooter also untaps whenever a creature dies. So Kiki Jiki makes a copy of Goblin Sharpshooter. The copy shoots a player or a creature, and the original shoots the token, which untaps both because they'll both die, and then Kiki Jiki makes another copy of Goblin Sharpshooter over and over and over and over and over again for infinite death and happiness. And then lastly, the Tyrant of Discord. Now this guy is pretty nasty, and I'm just going to check something here. Nope, it's not over there. This guy is pretty nasty. When he hits the battlefield, you choose an opponent, and they randomly choose one of their permanents and destroy it. I've used this to great effect against my friend Chris, who hates the card. He hates this deck because of this card. He calls this a degenerate deck because of this card. And I have to agree. This deck can become very degenerative very quickly, considering I actually got Kiki Jiki to make 7 copies of Tyrant of Discord at one point, and that wasn't fun for my friend Barry, who lost quite a bit of his board state. Chris is scooped because of it. Barry had to scoop because of it. It was this card destroys happiness. That's all I can say. It makes a game not fun to play for the person who's targeted. So if I have the Tyrant of Discord in play, the only time I'll play it is if somebody's going to go off with an infinite combo, and I will cheat him in using the Quicksilver Amulet, and then start going off with Kiki Jiki and the Tyrant of Discord, and anything else I can to make copies of him, so that the person who is about ready to go infinite is stopped. So that's how the deck works. It's pretty much ramps up in damage as quickly as possible, although it's kind of difficult to get it out there, but with all the mana ramp that I have here, and I've got the ways to get creatures out fast here, and then Kiki Jiki making all those copies, it just gets unbelievably scary very quickly. I've defeated Krenko decks with this and Krenko is pretty big, but usually the Krenko deck has suffered from mana screw at the time, and it's been a fun thing. Whenever people see I've got Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker out there, they think Kiki Jiki Combo Breaker or Kiki Pod, which is a modern version of using Birthing Pod and Kiki Jiki and all kinds of ugliness. And nobody likes seeing Kiki Jiki hit the table at all. But those who think it's Kiki Pod fail to realize that I'm running a mono red, so I can't run Birthing Pod in this deck. I've tried to make this a more fun deck. Yeah, I can speak English. A more fun deck by putting enter the battlefield effects in there and cards that take advantage of leaving the battlefield. There are a couple of infinite combos. The main one is Zealous Conscripts, which I've blown up the board with on several occasions. And I usually save this, like the other ones, before I hit before somebody goes off on their combo. And Zealous Conscripts and Splinter Twin also acts like Kiki Jiki. So you get Zealous Conscripts out there, put Splinter Twin on them, and then you make infinite copies of Zealous Conscripts because you untap Zealous Conscripts with its token that's coming into play. And you do it over and over and over again with Warstorm Surge, infinite damage. If people get around the infinite damage, then you just attack them outright. It's pretty scary. And if you've got enough mana, you can use the Barrage of Expendables. I mean, I could replace Ashnod's Altar with Phyrexian Altar, or put the Phyrexian Altar in here in addition to this, and you can sacrifice all those tokens for, say you make 500 tokens, and then you go ahead and sacrifice half of those, 250, into Phyrexian Altar, and then Barrage of Expendables will do 1 damage to each target or creature with all the other copies. And you can keep doing that over and over and over again. But this is made to go off without having to go infinite. There are very few ways to go infinite. There's Zealous Conscripts, there's Triskelion, there's the Goblin Sharpshooter, and Kiki Jiki and Splinter Twin. Those are the only really ways you can go infinite in this deck. The cool thing is it's all the damage doubling with Furnace of Rath and Gratuitous Violence. I was thinking about putting in Dictator of the Twin Gods, which also doubles again. So instead of that's ×2, then ×3, and then that would be ×4 for the last one. And that's just a lot of damage flinging around, especially if you throw something like Rusei out. And then you put Splinter Twin on Rusei, and then boom, it kills things. So if you put Thornbite Staff and Splinter Twin on Rusei, then you have yourself an infinite combo there as well. I just realized that. Because Thornbite Staff will untap whenever a creature is put into the graveyard. And Splinter Twin, you make a copy of Rusei, it hits a table. Oh, legendary creature rule. The copy dies. That's 5 damage to each creature without flying. And of course, with Warstorm Surge or Vicious Shadows in play, you're doing damage to players too. So that works too. I need to keep stuff like that in mind. In any case, you could probably do that with Kamahl Pitfighter as well. Oh boy, and cheat him in, and Thornbite Staff will immediately copy onto Heartless Hidetsugu. Yeah, Hidetsugu. I keep wanting to say Hidetsuguru for some reason. Putting in that extra R. So, Thornbite Staff automatically attaches to Heartless, and to Kiki, by the way. And to the Fanatic of Mogis, and to the Felhide Spiritbinder. So, oh wow. And it exiles, so that's that thing there. Splinter Twin, that's exiled. So you have to sacrifice the thing. So you sacrifice an Ashnod's Altar, or to Phyrexian Altar if I put it in here. So I guess you can go infinite on several ways. I never sat down and really thought about it because I got scary results with things that I had already. So that's Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker, my deck tech. It's mainly built for massive amounts of damage in a short amount of time without having to wipe the board, but you can if you want to. Tyrant of Discord is the card that does it, and it does it in a very not so kind way. So until next time, enjoy playing games, enjoy playing Magic the Gathering Commander. Please like, favorite, and subscribe. It really helps me to know what people are watching and if you're enjoying my series. If you could please visit www.patreon.com/ExcaliburZone and become a patron. Even just $1 a month, it will really help me out a lot. It gets me closer to my dream of doing this full time and allows me to expand the number of series I can do, number of games I show, and reviews, and so on and so forth. This program was brought to you by Steve Furjanik, one of my patrons. He is a producer for the next deck tech as well, so please give him a shout out in the comments, thanking him for helping support my addiction. As always, this is Excalibur, and I am out.